that normally is a no-no. It's normally follow your leader in that place. Rob Huff is one of the drivers that will take an opportunity. If there's traffic to get past, he'll do it on that section. And I don't know how much he thinks about that, but he has done it and done it remarkably in the past as well.
Well, he comes here looking to try to win the TCR World Tour, the Kumho TCR World Tour, and there's also another little story in all of this, which of course is that Audi, as Audi Sport, is really downscaling all its activities at the end of the year. ComTU is a team that runs Audis, or has done, in GT racing as well as in touring cars. They're off to Aston Martin for next year, so if this is the end of the ComTU link in touring car racing, they'd like to go out on a high. You saw a moment ago as well another of the heroes of touring cars of recent years, the oldest driver to win a World Championship, wasn't he? An FIA World Championship, Gabriele Tarquini, who is now overseeing the Hyundai effort. And the World Tour grid bolstered by the top 8 point scorers, if they want to take up the opportunity, from last week's TCR Asia Challenge. So that means that added into the entry are the likes of Lo Se-hei, Li Wangji, Tian Ka, Deng Bao Wei, Ma Hing-ha, and they are going to be very rapid indeed with their track knowledge of last week. Marco Butti is another extra. He's been racing in the World Tour race that came at Vallelunga, but largely concentrating on the Italian Championship, but he also is in the entry in the BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa Elantra. So it's 30 minutes, it's free practice. It doesn't affect the grid, but it does give everybody a chance to either learn about or get used to again, Macau, which will include, amongst those that are new here, Ben Barguana, son of Jason Barguana, and the TCR Australia racer will be at the pointy end of the grid. One I think that we've lost, which is rather a shame, is Tom Coronel. I mean, just won the TCR Europe Championship, and somebody that's normally a great character at Macau, he's elected not to come after all, and that's a shame.
I've sat next to Tom on a bus.
Did you get a word in?
I can't. I didn't. No. But he did talk to me as if I was his longest-standing friend. He's got this way about him to make you feel welcome and
he's a remarkable character.
Friendly.
He is,
he's just a great guy.
Yeah, and it's a shame he's, as I say, not here. But the entry that we have is still a good one. The likes of Niels Langeveld and Pepe Oriola were on the original entry, but sadly they have not been able to come either. And of course the teams, as you've just been hearing from what ComTU was saying, it's been a busy 3 weeks because they did Sydney, they did Bathurst, so what they've had to do really is get a different car here. They just wouldn't be able to go from Australia to here in the space of a week and prep it and everything else, so they've had this rather peripatetic car that sort of floated around to come here. So it's been a big demand on the teams at the end of the season, but it's been a great calendar for TCR World Tour. They've done Portimao, they've done Spa, they've done Vallelunga, they've done the Hungara-ring, they went to Uruguay, to El Pinar, they went to Argentina, to La Pedera, and then Sydney Motorsport Park, which in old money is Eastern Creek, and then to Bathurst, and the Australian events have been triple headers rather than double, and back to a double header here. But as I say, there's the Guia race to consider in isolation, but there is also the way the championship is going to pan out. And when we get to qualifying, then bear in mind that the top 6 score points there as well. So that's going to get even more competitive. And qualifying for the Guia race is tomorrow at 12:45 local time.
Yeah, they only go out on circuit once tomorrow, and it is for that qualifying session. So 2 free practice sessions for the TCR cars that you see out on circuit. 2 free practice sessions today. It's all free practice today, apart from 1 qualifying session, and that is 1 of 2 qualifying sessions for the Formula 3 cars. So they'll be back out at in the middle of this afternoon, about 3:15 local time. Local time here in Macau, wherever you are in the world tuning in. It's just coming up to 11:15 local time. It's getting a little bit brighter than it was first thing this morning. Quite overcast first thing this morning, and 17 degrees. Temperature is going up. The weather forecast for this afternoon, pretty bright, and maybe even a bit of sunshine locally as well. Last week they had an unseasonably really quite a few quite warm days, quite hot days at the end of last week. It was up to 28 degrees, 29 degrees, and full sunshine, blue skies. It was pretty hard work. Particularly, David, you were mentioning earlier on that these cars are prepared underground. It's an underground car park, and boy, does that get warm down there on a day like 29 degrees ambiently.
And there's not a huge amount of fresh air either.
There is very little.
No, indeed. Right, at the moment then, we're waiting for drivers to complete a flying lap. So we've done the out lap. Flying lap is now underway. They went out from that pre-grid in championship order. So Jan Erlaché, who comes from good racing stock, his mum, Kathy Muller, very, very competitive racing driver in the 1980s, raced at Le Mans, got as far as Formula 3 level in single-seaters, nephew of Ivan Muller, dad a professional footballer, and Jan Erlaché then putting purple sectors in, as also Norbert Mikulic, as also Mikael Ashkona in number 196. So let's see what the benchmark time offered up there by Jan Erlaché is in the Lincoln Co.
2:33.540 is the answer to that. So that's the first benchmark time. Rob Huff's time, 2:36.961, easing himself in. Norbert Mikulic goes quickest, 2:33.051. So that now becomes the benchmark time. That's the first of the flying laps. Good to see Gabriele Tarquini down there in pit lane, motor racing his life, very much his life. And Gabriele, an absolute star of touring car racing, and also, of course, an ex-Grand Prix Formula 1 driver as well.
And a great fan of English soccer. That was one of the highlights of his spell in the British Touring Car Championship, which was he could go and watch football.
The most notable thing that I remember of Gabriele Tarquini when he was competing in the BTCC with Alfa Romeo was his open invitation to come in and have an Italian coffee at any point. The smell of coffee permeated down the pit lane, and he was so. His hospitality was like no other.
Gernot Malcolm Sweatman, who these days is at Alliance Racing, but was part of the Honda team at the time, about the espresso machine.
Oh, really?
But there was a backstory
There's
to
more
it.
story
Well,
to this.
Only in as much as Gabriele was mortified with the appalling coffee when he joined, and took it upon himself to make sure that they had the best espresso machine that could probably drill for oil as well. I mean, he did everything. And eventually a bill came for this coffee machine, and it was a bit sort of eye-watering. But the coffee was good.
The coffee was good.
Yes.
The smell was superb.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm glad there's more to the story.
But yes, you're right. It's great to have him here, and so competitive, well into his 50s in touring car racing. But yes, Formula 1 driver, touring car legend. You're on board at the moment, number 105, which is Norbert Mikulic with the BRC Hyundai N-Squadra Corsa entry. Norbert's done a notional best time at 2:33.051. So you've got quite a number of the Hyundais. This grid, not as big as the TCR China entry. We've got 18 cars for the Guia race, but it's a quality 18, isn't it? And it'll be interesting to see how Lo Se-ho gets on, who was the winner of the first of the two TCR Asia races. The winner of the second was Sean Tong, but he's not here.
Interesting also to see how Paul Poon gets on, because he's won multiple races. Local region driver, has won multiple races here at Macau. He is currently under investigation for speeding in the pit lane, which just came up on the timing screen. Jan Erlaché has gone quickest at 2:39.80. That means Norbert Mikulic is second with a 2:33.051. But it's Jan Erlaché, 2:30.980. Marc Xinghua goes second, 2:32.238. So Marc Xinghua in car number 155 goes second, 2:32.238. And Erlaché is quickest, 2:30.980.
The best lap that we had in the equivalent China Touring Car Championship, Macau Touring Car Cup session, was a 2:31. So we're already quicker than the local championship, which sort of puts this level in context, doesn't it? So Jan Erlaché from the World Championship, effectively the World Tour, now putting himself as the quickest touring car racer around here today, and the times are only going to come down. Martin Ha second.
Yeah, I was going to say, we keep an eye on that because that's personal best in the first sector. On this follow-up lap to going second, personal best in the second sector as well. How does it compare? Not far off, but 2 purple sectors now for Yann Elaché. He's topping the times, 2:30.980, and on this lap has gone purple in sectors 2 and 3. Yann Elaché, 2:30.980. This is going to be improvement, I fancy.
You're right. And Rob Huff sort of biding his time, playing himself in, working through a programme, which he can afford to do in free practice. What you could argue he doesn't have, really, is strength in numbers. There is Rob Huff, come to you, there is Fred Verviche, and then there is John Filippi, who's been in and out of the championship, the World Tour, this year, but experienced driver.
We bumped into Fred Verviche in the museum yesterday,
right.
the Grand Prix Museum. He was having a go on the motorcycle simulator. He had some big accidents.
Yes. Very quick driver though, Fred Verviche. He's quite impressive in that he can leap 1 week from a 2-litre touring car to a GT3 car the next, and it doesn't seem to take him any time to drive into either, you know, whichever direction he's going from. GT to touring car.
He can jump on a motorcycle simulator pretty quickly because the thing about the simulator was the propensity to, if you didn't know what you were doing, to wobble. Right. Even on the straights, the whole thing was wobbling. He didn't, not once.
No, impressive. Well, we'll see what Verviche can do in the course of this session, because we've had the first third of it, and now Ashkana goes up to the top of the times, number 196. Ashkana came out of Clio Cup and Seat Racing. He's a TCR Europe double champion, and indeed last year's FIA World Touring Car Cup champion as well. So as you look there at Santiago Urrutia, the Lincoln Co up towards the timing line, 8th fastest, number 112. Does he go quicker? Well, that time is quicker, but it doesn't change the order for him. He's staying behind teammate Ted Buick. Monty Amaldi sitting in the pit lane. It's Fred Verviche's car, which makes one think all is quite as how he wants it.
Well, you can do tweaks, can't you, during this free practice session? Maybe a little tweak to the front of the car. There is time, so you can do whatever you like during this free practice session, and to the free practice session at 2:15 this afternoon as well. All setting up for, because they have to make it work tomorrow. Only one session in qualifying.
True. Yeah.
Formula 3, they get a qualifying session today, they get a qualifying session tomorrow, and then they have a qualifying, so an amalgamated time from the 2 qualifying sessions form the grid for the qualification race. So loads of opportunities for the touring cars that we're seeing on circuit now. One chance qualifying.
Right, so I was leaving the pit lane. The run here you're looking at through the Solitude S's down towards Police, and 129, Nesto Girolami in the Honda Civic. Spent quite a lot of his time racing with the roof over his head, whether it's been TC2000 or Brazilian stock cars. And Yann Elaché, they're only just under 0.2 of a second shy of Ashkana's top time. We're heading now up towards the end of the lap. Is he going to stay out, or is he going to bail for the pits? He's bailing for the pit lane, isn't he? So the Link & Co comes in, the own brand.
Into pit lane, and opportunity maybe to do a few things to the car. They can do more of that this afternoon. We are approaching sort of halfway through now, 16.5 minutes of the session remain.
And one that Paul might be able to go and investigate in the pit lane is Li Wangji, because only now has that car gone out, having sort of jumped half the session, hadn't done a lap time. So that car goes out, but rather late. Another one that's rather slow is Tian K, number 15, a car that was damaged in practice last week, but did get to race. One of the local entrants that's qualified, if you like, for this World Tour event. So there are one or two suggesting that they've got problems, because ordinarily they'd be getting the laps in.
Yes, they would. And as you say, it's the end of a season for the TCR World Tour that's taken in some superb circuits, hasn't it, around the world, and it's quite right that for the finale comes to what many would say is one of the greatest motor racing circuits in the world, around the streets of Macau, around the 6.1 kilometre Guia circuit. Yeah, Portimao, great circuit. Whatever you're in.
Yeah. I was just thinking, if you could put a calendar with Spa, Bathurst and Macau on it, you're doing something right, aren't you?
It's not bad, is it?
Another the Barcello Lotti's excellent seasons.
Who else would like to sign up for this one? Yes, please.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, by taking it to these regions, local drivers come and support. So you had the likes of Will Brown taking a couple of wins at Sydney Motorsports Park, for example, and a few of the locals joining in elsewhere for the Portuguese or the Italian races. Now, what about Lo Seho? He has just gone up to 8th fastest there. You saw him go through number 1 with the Evolve Racing Hyundai. Jan Elaché in for another set of boots. So, tyres for the Lincoln Co. Nestor Girolami's Honda is in as well. And so also to the pit lane has come Marcin Clark, Chinese touring car champion. Okay, yeah. Up to 6th.
So half-hour session this. So 25 minutes for the 2 non-Formula 3 sessions so far today. And what we do, as far as free practice is concerned, and bikes or cars that come out of the circuit, of course, today, only the bikes don't appear twice. Everybody else appears twice today for 2 free practice sessions, or in the case of Formula 3, 1 free practice session, 1 qualifying session at the end of the afternoon. But the bikes are done for the day. It's quite a wake-up call for the bikes. It's 7:45 this morning. The Guia circuit does catch your attention slightly.
It does.
On the motorcycle.
There are trade-offs being up so early, which is you can have a very long lunch.
A long lunch.
You're not needed again.
A long afternoon tea.
True. Big swim.
Nice dinner.
Indeed. Right here is Portimao race winner, and indeed Bathurst race winner, Santiago Urrutia, heading towards the end of a lap. He is 10th in the times, and there's optimism on this because 3 of his 4 sectors have nudged an improvement. So here he comes then, out of Al Bend, up towards the timing line. Santiago Urrutia breaks the beam and does a 2:34.609. He goes quicker and stays 10th in the times.
Yeah, stays 10th, and it's quite interesting actually that the top 5 have all been down in the pit lane for a little while now, and a couple of them coming out of the pit lane. Girolami and Elaché out of the pit lane, back onto the circuit. It's quite busy down the pit lane, isn't it?
It is, but they're working through a programme, either new set of tyres or possibly a tyre cross. The Hyundais are being dispatched as well, so out goes then the cars of Mikael Ashkiner and Robert Mikulic back on track. Mikael Ashkiner still the fastest, but only by 0.195 of a second right now. What's Rob Huff up to? He is 6th. What about Fred Verviche? We've not really seen very much of Fred in the session, and he's penultimate ahead of the troubled Li Wenji.
So we are into the second half of this session now. 12 minutes and 15 seconds of the session remain. And we're waiting for quite a few of them to get back out of the circuit from pit lane. So 4 of the top 5 have exited pit lane now on the outlap, and then to have a meaningful lap. See what's at the moment. Our interest is in Rob Huff, because that car in picture now, and somebody that absolutely loves this place. Had quite an involvement with teams over here in this part of the world, running in not just CCR in the day, but also some of the local championships as well. And very much found a home for his racing career in this part of the world. He's back in the UK now, so he's back at home and around his family and his parents. That'll be such supporters of Rob's racing career. Ask how Rob got into motor racing in the first place. It was his dad, Peter. And, quite an interesting story that he told the other day about Rob was, when he was racing in the World Touring Cars, he was also racing in club races in the UK in an MGB, and still got the car, still got the MGP. But there was one weekend, I think it was at Cadwell Park, that he was due to race, and his father was away. Peter was away on a golfing holiday.
Right.
And surprise of surprise, Dad couldn't be away from Rob when he was racing at Cadwell Park, so flew back, watched Rob race, supported him over the course of the weekend, then flew back to the golfing holiday afterwards. There you go. That's parental support, if ever there was somewhere, isn't it?
And Rob has always been a real star with Richard Mines at Goodwood as well in historic machinery, and especially in 3-litre Ford Capris, that he can get nice and sideways with Jaguar E-types. He's always gone incredibly well. So, yeah, expect this to be an improved lap.
So he's gone personal best in sector 2 as Rob on this lap. Lo Si Ho has gone personal best. He's 7th at the moment in car number 1 and has gone personal best in sectors 1 and 2. And Jan Elache has completed 1 sector and has gone personal best in sector 1. Back to Rob Huff, making his way up towards the Melco hairpin. No traffic in front, no traffic behind. In isolation, Fred Ravish has just gone personal best in all of the sectors. He's 7th, so that's an improvement in order. 2:32.057, so Fred Ravish onto the screen now in the top 10. 7th for Fred.
This lap for Rob Huff, teasing us a little bit. There was an improvement in a sector, but not, I don't think, is it going to be a mega lap? He may even pit at the end of it, in fact. So, yes, he does come in.
He's not yet activated full Huffy mode.
No, but it's only free practice, doesn't have to necessarily. Qualifying, as Alan was making the point tomorrow, is a single session, but it is broken into 2 bits. You have the top 12 that go through into a 15 minutes, so it's 30 minutes, 5-minute break, and then a 15-minute Q2. And that really is when you will see them unleash. The first bit is about not being slow, the second bit's about being quick. And then 2 spectacular races will be in store. Right, Jan Elache, personal best, absolute best, and then sector 3 a little bit down. This is the Melco hairpin. He's made it through nicely, accelerates downhill now, and the road's still narrow, but as you come out of black sand, it starts to open up. But even this bit is very, very fast.
Very fast, very tight. Still 2 carriageways as far as the everyday traffic is concerned. And at the ends of the lap and the start of the lap, it really opens up, and you can see the dual carriageway section of the circuit now. 8 minutes and 6 seconds of the session remain. Jan Elache up towards the timing beam, wets the timing beam. What's it going to be? It goes top. 2:29.313 for Jan, and that was with only 1 purple sector. So only 1 overall best sector and 3 personal best sectors. So Jan Elache back to the top of the time. 2:29.3.
It's interesting, isn't it? We say that, you know, this is only free practice. You try telling a racing driver that. They still want to go out of this at the top of the times. Track map there.
Oh, yes.
It's not that you don't know where you're going, it's just that if the engineer says there's a yellow at turn 4, then you know what turn 4 is. 6 kilometres of the circuit to worry about. So there towards the timing line, Michael Ashkana and Robert Mikulic. Mikulic goes 2nd, Ashkana goes 3rd.
Yeah, good luck. That by Mikulic, 2:29.421. Only a 10th down on Jan Elache. Rob Huff down in pit lane, having a couple of things done. Time to get out, time to do a few laps as well for Rob Huff. Currently down in 6th place. Fred Ravish in 7th. Lo Si Ho in 8th.
Ben Barguana is up to 12th. It doesn't seem that long ago that his dad was one of the Holden Young Lions drivers, and now it's his son that's racing. So Ben Barguana in the French-built Teddy Claret Sport Peugeot, 12th fastest, 2:35. Right, Elache fastest again last time, 2:29.3. I think he might have backed off on this lap, but Michael Ashkana has absolutely not. Robert Mikulic you were riding with, but Ashkana is another man on a mission.
Certainly is currently 3rd, demoted down to 3rd, so overall best in sector 1, personal best in sector 2 for Ashkana. Car 196. Jan Elache is top of the time with 2:29.3. 6 minutes remain.
Lo Si Ho is 8th. He is doing a good job. Yes, he was a race winner last week, so he's fresh on the circuit. It's got to help, but interesting to compare him against this company, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Ted Bjork goes quicker, and demotes Rocio down one place, down to 9th, because Ted Bjork has just put in a 2:32.138. Ashkona is a good lap, this one. So overall best in sector 1, personal best in sectors 2 and 3. And the benchmark time they're aiming for of Jan Elachet, 2:29.313.
One of the Hyundais, I think that was Mikulic's car, getting a little bit deep into Melko, but you're on board with him now. Ashkona is up the road. Ashkona has a real chance of going top at the end of this lap. He's only got a 5.309 of a second to be fastest, and Ashkona is giving it a red hot go, that's for sure. They come out of Fisherman's then, this straight down towards our bend, go straight on, you find yourself into the pit lane, but go through that quick right-hander into the last 5 minutes and up towards the timing line. So keeping an eye to the timing beam as up towards it now comes Mikael Ashkona. He goes through, goes fastest. It's a 2:29.037. He's nearly 3 tenths to the good now.
2:29.037 for Mikael Ashkona, and good lap that was. First sector was overall best, and the final 2 sectors as well. Every one an improvement either personally or overall. So good lap that, and we've got 4.5 minutes just under of the session remaining.
Fred Vervish goes through. This should be an improvement. It is up to 6th then. Gets himself ahead of Rob Huff.
And Rob Huff has now left pit lane, so he's on the out lap from pit lane. So currently 7th place for the multiple race winner here at Macau. Rob Huff left pit lane. Are they doing little tweaks to the car? Were they just having a couple of moments to bring back information and send out for the end of the session? 3 minutes and 40 seconds of the session made. And the cars are out again at 2:15 this afternoon, so a second free practice session for the Macau Guia race, the Kumo TCR World Tour events of Macau. It's Mikael Ashkona who is top of the times, 2:29.037.
And could go quicker again, because sector 1, absolute best. Sector 2, personal best. And Ashkona is still on a mission, no question about it. Martin Ha up to 4th last time. There's Elachet. This lap is okay, but it's not looking like it's going to be a mega lap, is it?
No, the last lap was an improvement either personally or overall on every single sector for Mikael Ashkona. 2:29.037, and this has gone overall best first sector, personal best second sector. Nothing too special in sector 3. Could be traffic. We didn't see the middle sector, that's sector 3. Sectors 4 and 5 yet to come.
Right, so Elachet still second, and 2:30.1, so he's about 8 tenths down on his earlier best. He's got time for one more lap at the end of this. Elachet gives you the feeling that he's been out there longer than others, but he's done 9 laps, as has Nestor Girolami, as has Santiago Urrutia. This is Elachet's view coming out of Lisboa. It does look narrow, doesn't it?
It does. It sort of closes up on you, doesn't it? It's tunnel vision almost on this section of the circuit. Rob Huff, by the way, on this first flying lap after leaving the pit lane, has gone personal best first sector, personal best second sector. However, a lot of them are.
Lo Se Ho ahead of Ashkona, ahead of Mikulic, and Ashkona, I think, backed out of that last lap. Started off really well, and then he just let that sort of fall around because it dropped pace. Now, got a bit of, was that bodywork coming off, or was that litter coming off the car of Robert Mikulic? There it is, but there was something red that fell from the back. I think it was probably something that he'd driven over and it had been blown onto the circuit. The car doesn't look damaged, and I'm not seeing him skim a wall. Ashkona now, absolute best in the first sector, as Gabriele Tarquini looks on.
And Rob Huff goes personal best in sectors 3 and 4. This is going to be an improvement in position for Rob Huff. 1 minute and 27 seconds of the session remain. Waiting for Rob Huff to complete this final sector of this lap. And it's going to be 10 laps in the book for Rob at the end of this one. Fred Vervish goes overall best in the first sector. All of this is free practice, don't forget. Doesn't count for a grid, doesn't count for qualifying for tomorrow. And Rob goes 4th. So personal best in all 5 of the sectors.
And his teammate, Fred Vervish, has got the LA from the team because he's now done an absolute best in the first sector. So Fred Vervisch, the former German Formula 3 champion, absolute best sector 1. Rob Huff might yet be on another mission here because having just got up to 4th, he doesn't look like he's bringing this round to the pits. He might, because it's a lap of use of the tyres he doesn't necessarily need to be doing. He is slightly down in the first sector, so it looked quick to the eye, and he's right up against the barrier there towards Lisboa. But I suspect that he will possibly bail at the end of this.
Always spectacular to watch around the Guia circuit is Rob Huff. Yeah, he's down in the first sector on teammate Fred Vervisch. Fred did an overall best in sector 1, a 25.4, and Rob did a 25.9. But we've got a personal best first sector for Norbert Mikelic, also for Marcin Poix in the second sector. And checker flag goes out, so the end of this half-an-hour free practice session. Personal best lap on the last lap for Rob Huff in 4th place. It's Ashkona that tops the times, 2:29.037 by approaching 0.3 of a second over Jan Ellershey.
So there is Ashkona and Mikelic down the pit lane. Yes, as you say, Jan Ellershey second fastest. There aren't many people that race at Macau that can say my mum raced here, but Jan can. Kathy Muller was in the very first year of Formula 3.
And my uncle, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Uncle Ivan.
Right, Fred Vervisch up towards the line. That's John Filippi's Comte Audi going through the sister car. That's an improvement to go 10th. And here is Fred Vervisch, and the Belgian driver breaks the beam and improves, but stays 7th after all of that. The second and third sectors dipped.
Rob Huff, meanwhile, has gone personal best in sectors 3 and 4. The first 2 weren't best sectors, but certainly 3 and 4 for Rob Huff. He's going to be completing the lap on this occasion, so just sector 5 to complete.
I'm not entirely sure I would stay out if I were him, because all he's going to do is use this lap of life in the tyre and then bring it round, but he is going to stay out, so he clearly thinks the car's got the pace and it's worth doing the lap. So up towards the timing line he comes. 4th he was, 4th he stays.
Yep, a 2:33.58 on that last lap. It was close. The 2:33.21 was his best lap, but stays, as you say, in 4th place.
But it does show, doesn't it, with the length of the lap, how quirky it can be. You can have an absolutely demon first sector, and then it all dips away, and it, you know, Fred Vervisch I'm talking about, he rebuilt it, but it didn't really help him in the order. Being consistent in every sector, 5 sectors into this lap over the course of 6K is certainly difficult. And also, of course, if you're on a quick lap and somebody else has backed off and you encounter them on the mountain part of the circuit, up through the Solitude S's and the narrow section, then you find yourself on strike. Ben Bagwana pressing on, he gets past Jan Ellershey, who comes to the pit lane. So at the end of the session, Mikael Ashkona the fastest, from Jan Ellershey, Norbert Mikelic, Rob Huff, Martin Haar, and Nestor Girolami to round out the top 6. So we will have hopefully a chance to hear from one or two of the drivers at the end of the session. Paul Jeffrey has been patrolling the pit lane. We'll find drivers before the cars head back towards the race paddock. Right, so at the end of the session, we've got the leading 3 all within the same second. And Mikael Ashkona from Jan Ellershey, Norbert Mikelic, Rob Huff, Martin Haar, and Nestor Girolami to round out the top 6. So it's quite a long in-lap, of course, for many of them. There is John Filippi with his Comte Audi towards the pit lane. Marco Butti, who I was talking about at the start of the session as a late entry into the weekend, ending up 13th in the times. So John Filippi, the former V2V single-seater champion, but a regular in the World Touring Car Series and TCR Europe. He was the runner-up in TCR Europe this year to Tom Coronel, raced for France in the Motorsport Games back in 2019. Brings the car down the pit lane. Right, let's have a look at the order then at the end of FP1 for the Macau Guia race. It was Mikael Ashkona who was the fastest then, ahead of Jan Elischer and Norbert Mikulic. Rob Huff fourth from Martin Ha. Nestor Girolami was sixth, ahead of Fred Verviche with Ted Bjork, Santiago Urrutia and John Filippi rounding out the top 10. 11th was Lo Seho, race winner last week. 12th Ben Barguana from Marco Butti and Yan Chuang, who we didn't see much of in that session, but he was runner-up in one of the races last week. Then Paul Poon 15th, ahead of Deng Bao Wei. Li Wangji didn't do that many laps, nor did Tian Ke, to round out the order. And we'll have the cars back on track for FP2 at 2:15 local time, and it's 11:45 local time now. So good news for the teams, no real repair work, because they haven't got that much time actually between sessions. You've got to crack on here, because at 6 o'clock, come what may, the roads are open to the traffic. And that means also, of course, that you've got to prepare the roads for the local traffic. So you've got to crack on. Right, that ends Kumho TCR World Tour event of Macau for Macau Gear Race Free Practice 1. They'll be back on track in a few hours' time.